Welcome to Strange Gossip. I'm Catherine.
And I'm Taylor, and this is going to be like your friend's take on the weird.
Because we're tired of real life drama and want to talk about spooky stuff. Shit.
We're rolling with it.
I kind of love it. I was very shy this week.
It's fine. It's fine. It's the general weird week, so we're allowed to be a little bit weird on this episode. It's
So
also
true.
Friday the 13th while we're filming, so...
Happy
Do
Friday
we back
the 13th.
film? Yes. Do we care? No. Do you know how long it takes to like do all the things? Catherine is like editing in the background. It's like a whole production. So
It really is. Taylor and I, we have PR plans, social media plans. We edit, we're doing revises. It's really fun. And I'm grateful we get to do it together because I think it makes it way more enjoyable. But yeah, we're like a 10-man team, just the two of us.
100%. Yeah. We're corporate girlies and then working on a podcast on the side. It's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing. Oh, so true. Well, happy
Anyways.
Friday the 13th, Taylor.
Happy Friday the 13th.
And
Let's
happy-
hope that this goes well.
I know, seriously. Happy November to our listeners.
Yeah. You're officially out of spooky season by the time you're watching this.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
You know, Thanksgiving, it's fine. We can get weird on Thanksgiving.
We can't
I mean,
get
it's
weird.
not really family dynamics. What's weirder? You know what I mean? So,
It's so true. And spooky,
Yeah.
you can extend spooky season. I feel like it's been so hot that it's kind of forced me to kind of still feel like it's summertime. So
100%.
I'm happy to continue spooky season probably up until 2 weeks before the holiday season,
Agreed.
in Christmas, all in
yeah,
there.
no, by the time it's Thanksgiving, it's Christmas. And so really
I
it's
know.
like Halloween and then 1 week of Thanksgiving and then Christmas. So
Yes.
we'll take it.
For sure. Well, Taylor, do you have any updates or current topics for us this week?
I have just a few updates. So
Ooh.
one first update, I am wearing my Airplane Girl t-shirt. I don't know. Should I might
forgot
link
all
this.
about that.
I'm going to link it in the show notes just in case anybody else is weird like me.
Oh my
But
gosh.
listen, it's an Amazon thing. I'll see if they're still
Love.
listed. I'll link it. But
I'm
anyway,
gonna click it. I'm so excited.
I'm also wearing straight up, I don't know how to show you this, but I'm wearing the ripped jeans. So it's a whole ensemble.
Incredible.
But yeah.
Incredible. So you're really dressed for the spooky season.
I didn't dress up on Halloween, but I did dress up for this. So
I'm living.
I
That's
come
awesome.
through when I say I'm going to do something.
So fun. I completely forgot about that until this moment. I'm so happy you
So funny.
followed through with that.
I
And-
wasn't going to. I changed literally 10 minutes before we started. And I was like, oh shit, I said I was going to wear that.
Oh, good job keeping it. Well, it's
you.
funny because I keep thinking about the meowing.
I know.
Literally, I can't stop. I'll just
Oh my
see a
God.
cat. We went to there's a new cat themed antique mall near me.
Cute.
And it's amazing. It's so fun. The owners are incredible. They own another thrift store nearby. They're wonderful. And you can adopt cats there. But I can't not see a cat and not think of you meowing now. It's hilarious.
See, you know what I mean? It might have been great.
It's iconic.
Okay, that is kind of an update. I did try it on my cat and she came.
Oh, do you want to
Nope.
No,
No, I do not.
not a new and improved.
You're going to have to trust me on that one.
One day,
She did
day,
go.
she'll bring
One
it back.
day when I have a little bit more practice, yeah, we'll go there.
That's
but,
amazing.
yeah.
Well, I'm so happy you're wearing the outfit. That's amazing.
I
And
am.
We'll definitely link it.
Yes, no, for sure. I'll link it if I can find it. But I did want to talk. So the Airbnb, I was talking about this because I was up in San Francisco last week and I was with family and we were talking about the first pod episode that dropped. And they're like, tell me about the cult house. And I'm like, well, insider information. They ended up shortly after that turning it off of, they didn't take any more Airbnb reservations apparently because it went down off the site. And now they're long-term renting it to a Jewish family.
Oh, so they
Yeah.
completely bye.
They 180'd that.
They were
So I don't know, when I walked by with Kavika and he was like, oh, petting the dog. And I'm just like, do I tell him that there was a cult in here or do I just let him go on with his life? And I chose to let him go on with his life. I didn't think it was going to go over well. So anyway.
He's gonna see he's gonna remove some wallpaper and see some pentagrams from the cult
Yeah.
that was left over.
do you mind if I come in and check it out? Welcome to the neighborhood.
You just give him a gift basket and you just shove him to the side. It's the end of the cult. Well, thank you for the update. Bummer that you couldn't join it, but also great that you don't have to move.
It's probably a good thing I didn't join the cult. So
I'll take that as a win any day of the week. All right. Well,
it.
do you have any other current topics or things you want to bring up this?
No, I'm
Beautiful
excited to get
day?
into our like main topics.
Oh my goodness.
I'm here for it.
I worked on this a little bit ahead of time because we had friends visiting in town, but I was so like, oh, I just want to talk about this already. So I've been thinking about this and I've loved all of our topics so far, but I think now that we have our flow and like I'm just so excited to bring this to you
I remember
today.
you talking about this, but I think it was like maybe right after we filmed the first episode or even before. You're like, I'm going to do this on a general weird. And I was like, I love it. And
like,
so we've been,
I got a
it's like
plan.
highly anticipated.
It's so true. Okay, hopefully it lives up to the hype.
Okay, well, I'm here for it.
I'm so excited. Well, this week, because it's our general weird, I'm kind of bringing to you what you would refer to as like a creepypasta. Are you familiar with that term?
Love a creepypasta, a 4chan. Yeah.
Yeah. Very like, for those who don't know, there's basically stories that get passed around the internet and you can just have a copy pasta. It doesn't necessarily have to be spooky, but there's just so many different names for those kinds of stories. But it's basically like a story that's copy and pasted amongst different sites. So Reddit, Tumblr, probably even like Twitter chains. Like it really could be wherever. It's just kind of copy and pasted and you lose a little bit of the origin. So this one I found because of David through Reddit. Now, Taylor, do you use Reddit?
I do. I just posted an Am I the Asshole the other day. I'm not going to tell you why.
Taylor!
I did. It turns out I was not the asshole. So
Okay.
that's great. That's great news.
That is great news.
Yeah.
I love that subreddit. Do you have any other like subreddits you really like?
No, not real. Well, I'm usually just scrolling on that, to be honest. Or I'll look up, like, honestly, if I have any questions on Google, I'll usually just type in Reddit. Because it's like actually like, I don't know. It feels like more like the community and it's not so much like research papers. It's not to research this kind of stuff. But like a health problem, I'm like, Reddit. Even though it's
so
like the last
true.
place you should go, but I do.
But it's true. Like, I feel like if you take Reddit with a grain of salt, it could be a good jumping off point. Like I suffer from chronic migraines. And so the migraine subreddit is actually a really great place to get information. And like people will post like random diseases that they found out they had because of their migraines. And then it's like, oh, that's a jumping off point for me to like research it, look into it and see kind of what comes up. But I also like the subreddit of like paranormal experiences and aliens. Like that's also fun too, It's helpful. Reddit is like you can get sucked in and it's definitely toxic at times, but if it's like used in moderation, it's great.
No, you just get sucked in.
People asking for like relationship advice. Some of the stuff I see on there is really sad and you're like, whoa, you really don't know. Like it's kind of like the Am I the Asshole? You're like, in some situations you're like, I cannot believe you're in that situation where you feel like you even have, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's just
yeah,
crazy.
but like sometimes the responses though, without going too far down this rabbit hole, sometimes the responses are so like, am I the asshole? Like, oh, like cut that person off completely. Oh my God, you need to break up with them. And it's like, that's cool for you to say, but like realistically, you know what I mean? But it is interesting. I definitely get sucked into the drama of Reddit.
It's so true. Yeah. A grain of salt for all Reddit. Prayers for Reddit. Forever.
Prayers for Reddit.
So today I'm going to read you a story posted anonymously and shared across Tumblr and Reddit over the years. I'll begin by reading you the original post from the summer of 2018. So not too far away. All right, let's get into this. Be me, last summer, cross-country road trip, hitting up some national parks in central, southern Utah. It's getting late, like 10 p.m. Been driving since around 6-ish. It's dark as fuck, no moon. I can only see what's lit up by my headlights. I decide to find someplace to rest for the night at the next exit. I see a town off in the distance, so I turn off on the only pull-off I've seen for over an hour and head towards the town. The pull-off is unmarked and unlit. Not on a car GPS, and there's no cell service. The town is directly ahead, though, so I keep going. The road turns into a dirt road and is about 5 miles long until it turns to pavement again right where the town begins, where businesses and houses start showing up. Immediately, the town strikes me as weird. Nobody's on the streets, no cars on the streets, or in the businesses' parking lots. Jazz music is being pumped through the streets for some reason. Not loudly, but loud enough to hear. Oh, fuck. I'm going to pause right there. I don't know why that freaks me out, but it does.
But like, why are you in the boonies? And like, why? Yeah, that's weird. That would freak me out too.
All right, back to it. This town that looked to be around 7 blocks wide from some miles out has every major fast food chain I've heard of and 7 hotels on the main street.
Damn.
I still have no cell service, still nothing on the car GPS. I decide to go get food. KFC was fully illuminated and unlocked, but nobody was there. Same thing with Jack in the Box. McDonald's has a cashier and cook when I go there, but both of them look annoyed. They take my order, give me distinctly non-McDonald's nuggets and fries, and I leave.
Non-McDonald's? Okay, but first of all, why the hell wouldn't you go to Taco Bell? Like, you tell me you have all these choices. Like, Taco Bell is clearly, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you're like, McDonald's does seem safe.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of, I mean, he tried the other places. Yeah, where was Taco Bell on that list?
Yeah, his first choice was KFC. Usually KFCs are connected to Taco Bells. Have you noticed that?
Ooh.
Is that a conspiracy theory?
There's some really, or just a really good business deal going on.
Yeah, there's something.
That's hilarious. I also need to send this to you. I meant to earlier, and my phone's recording me, and now I'm really bummed, and I'll add it in post. But I found a Baja Blast meme, and it made me think of you, and I've been meaning to send it to you.
I love Baja. Okay, well, better not be shitting on it, because
no, it was hilarious. It was something. I'll send it later, and I'll add it here, so it'll be very.
Okay, I'm excited.
The listeners got it. Future you listening in past November 2023, you're going to love it.
Perfect.
Okay. So where we left off is our OP, our original post star, right? I think that's what that stands for.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He just got non-McDonald's nuggets and fries from McDonald's. All right. I leave, looking to find a bed for the night. Hampton Inn, empty parking lot. Third annoyed-looking person informs me that they're all booked up. La Quinta person, I'm now convinced was the cook at McDonald's, is behind the check-in counter, also an empty parking lot, also fully booked. Holiday Inn Express, empty parking lot. Person that was clearly the fucking cashier at McDonald's is behind the check-in counter. Surprisingly, they have rooms. I ask him if he's the guy from McDonald's, and he goes, no, that's my brother. Fuck it. Good enough for me. I get to my room. Wi-Fi exists, but nothing loads. I shower, then I crash. A little unsettling.
It's gotten a little weird.
I wake up the next day. No breakfast in the lobby. No other guests. McDonald's guy is still there for checkout. I ask him how to get out of town. He replies, same road you came in on. I head back to McDonald's to get something to eat. The town is still playing smooth jazz. Still nobody on the street. I order at the drive-thru. The drive-thru lady is definitely the lady from Hampton Inn. I ordered a fucking McGriddle and a black coffee.
I ordered a fucking McGriddle.
I know there's so many curse words in this one, which is very not me.
It's me.
Taylor, did you write this? Is this
I don't know.
pasta? Creepy pasta.
It's me. Turns out it's me. Guess what?
Taylor is the OP.
I wouldn't get McDonald's 2 times in a row, though.
Yeah,
especially if it wasn't even real McDonald's. Like, yeah, and maybe Taco Bell.
Yeah. This would be a very different story. So I ordered a fucking McGriddle and black coffee. She hands me a microwave English muffin sandwich and what I assumed to be some type of instant coffee. This place is too fucking weird to stay and argue. So I head down the only fucking road in and out of town. Maybe 3 miles onto the 5-mile dirt road, I noticed a big metal wire fence on both sides of the road in the desert. It meets on the road in a big motorized gate that is open. As soon as I pass through, the gate starts closing. I get back onto the road, finally get onto the 62? ? That's not right, but I could have sworn I was on the 89 when I decided to pull off, and there's mountains in between. When I finally get cell service, nothing matches the description of the town. None of the charges ever show up on my card.
What the hell?
So that is the end of the post. Taylor, what do you think's going on here?
Okay, so I'm sure you're going to have theories because also, like, full transparency, you guys, I knew the topic, right? But I didn't know the actual story. And so I was watching, I got suggested a reel today about a similar thing. And I was like, oh, this has to be the town you're talking about. It's called like Bluffing.
Utah, I think.
Utah. I think it was in Utah
also
too,
Utah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Utah, what are you doing, girl?
So when David was telling me about this, I was like, okay, there's so many different possibilities. Was he like hallucinating? Was it kind of a dream and he was like half awake? Was this a military thing? Was this, what is there something more sinister going on? Like what's kind of, the situation? So one of the possible explanations that came up in the comments was the urban legend of closed cities. And so filled with real people and their families, these towns supposedly exist outside of normal society. So could that be a real possibility? Actually, yes. So in the 40s, 3 ordinary-looking U.S. cities were constructed as quickly as possible, but left off of all maps. Why? To create nuclear weapons. It feels like it all comes back to military
full
facilities.
Circle right now.
I know. I was researching this and writing this out, and I'm like, I'm getting some Roswell vibes up in here.
Yeah, for real. It's always
and
a government.
Mothman. It's always a government facility. It really. I'm on to you. This is episode 4, and it all comes.
Dude, they're gonna come for us by episode 5. We're not even gonna be able to post any more episodes.
All this, we had the
we're
issue.
Really linking it. Yeah.
Oh, it's so true. We're going to connect it. We're going to put it all together, just like we said in the trailer.
Exactly.
We're doing it. So in late 1942, barely a year into the U.S. joining World War II, the United States government knew the Nazis were pursuing nuclear weapons. Realizing the threat of nuclear war, they immediately expanded their own programs, including these cities. The biggest, Oak Ridge in Tennessee, was built from scratch over 6 months in 1943 to produce fuel for atomic bombs. Originally 13,000, the town grew to a population of 75,000 by the end of the war.
That's pretty big.
That's a massive city, like all things considered. Unreal.
And their tiny little construction homes that went up in 6 months. Oh my God.
Ooh. Well, if you're wondering what these towns look like, by all accounts, they were your normal American communities. By design, these communities were built to be idyllic communities, great for raising families. If you were to stay a little longer than just, say, passing through, though, you'd start to notice that things are a bit off, and sometimes humorous. For example, the bar and the lounge of the main hotel in Oak Ridge was called the Reactor Room.
Raise your family right by a nuke. Yeah, that sounds great.
It's great for families. Don't worry about it.
God, get radiation for fun.
You'd also start to put 2 and 2 together with all the nuclear symbols on buildings that normally wouldn't be there because they were secretly working, on all these things.
They weren't quiet about it. Oh. They're just like, this is the nuke building.
They're like, oh, this is a facade building that's supposed to look like a firehouse, and then it just has a giant nuclear symbol on it. You know what I mean? It was very that. They were just kind of everywhere.
Wait, and this is like truly like this is a thing.
Oh, this happened completely. Completely. I actually have photos for you. Do you want to take a look?
I do, yes.
So,
oh my God.
Here's a shift change.
I'm worried about
a lot of people.
Okay. Why are they all wearing like very similar things? Maybe it's like the age.
Oh, absolutely. One of my favorite things is make CEW count, continue to protect project information. On this sign, make CEW count, you have the Statue of Liberty, an American flag, and then you see what appears to be a bomb going off behind soldiers.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. So this, loose lip sync ships, it's very that you wanted to keep, this information as top secret as possible. But what's unbelievable to me, so this is a photo taken in 1945.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have, here's another sign that I thought was fascinating.
I think this is a good time if you are not watching on YouTube or Spotify, just go there.
Yes. We'll also post it on Insta too.
Yeah, we'll post it on Insta too, but it is nice if you want to see it like real time. Monkey see, monkey do. I don't like that.
So this is another sign at Oak Ridge that I think when you first entered the town that has Uncle Sam.
Oh, is it?
I think so. Taking off his I want you to report for duty. He has his hat off. He's rolling up his sleeve to join in the fight, basically. And then you have 3 monkeys. Yeah. See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. But the sign says, what you see here, what you do here, what you hear here, when you leave here, let it stay here.
Yeah, like that's just really bizarre. I don't love that. Wait, okay, so the people living in this town knew that that's what this town was, right?
Oh, they all came for that reason.
And they're all like in security clearance?
They all worked at this plant. So here's how big.
They weren't allowed to have friends?
They did in the town. Because even though
it's like a cult.
They started with 13,000 and ended up with 75,000. That's significant. Oh, this was not this one, but this is Oak Ridge was one of the bigger towns. And this was the one that was based out of Washington. And this was not, so there was 3 towns I mentioned in the beginning. So this was the one in Washington. They had another one in, so Oak Ridge is in Tennessee. So that's the one that.
It looks like they're like farming people.
Yeah, but it just kind of looks like a normal town. Here's what the houses also looked like.
Yeah, that looks like it went up in 6 months. What are those like pods that you go to school? Yeah, like when there's too many students in a high school and they put you in a pod.
I know exactly. They're trailers, basically.
Yeah, basically.
And then this was, I thought it was so sweet. This one woman added like this really cute little trellis in one of like the pop-up tents. But they had 6 months to make a full town happen is just kind of unbelievable.
That's a lot.
Here's some other houses that they had too.
Oh wow, those ones look nice.
So they did start building it out as they went.
Okay, so they basically wanted to keep these towns, or the government wanted to keep these towns under wraps. And
they weren't even
the
on
people
maps.
that worked there. Wow. Okay,
you have to remember in a time of like no social media, like there's not really a lot. You're kind of just telling your family you're moving out to a city to start over. Like I think that's a lot easier back then than today.
Yeah.
But could this Reddit poster be talking about a closed city?
I mean, I'm just saying if they've done it once, they'll probably do it again.
Exactly. They already got the blueprint. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, so after the war, Oak Ridge continued to be a city and actually has a population of over 31,000 today. And kind of a fun fact about Oak Ridge is that 2 of the first public schools in the South to be desegregated were in Oak Ridge. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
Very historic. But yeah, so could this Utah city be a secret government project of today? Maybe, but there is another theory. Similar to a closed city, another use for a fake town popped up in the comments of Reddit. Quote, OP accidentally drove onto a government training site. Most of the major agencies, FBI, CIA, etc., supposedly maintain small, fake, but fully built and realistic towns for training exercises. The people in the town were base staff, and they were all pissed off at him because they were going to have to fill out long and tedious reports about how a civilian got onto the site. End quote.
Sucks to suck. Why wouldn't they just tell him, like, boy, you're on a training site, like, get out of here?
I know, right? Like, who?
But they want him to be secret? Why?
That's
Can
the
I
question.
just say,
That's
I
the
live
question,
right
girl.
by I think it's the Marines or the Navy, something. I don't know. I live by one of the bases where they fly like F-18s all the time. Anyway, a while ago, I was hearing like what were like bombs going off, and I was like, oh. And I look on next door and like Ring, and they're like, oh yeah, like they're doing like a training exercise down, and there's like this mall area that's going to be like repurposed for life sciences, because I'm in San Diego, so everything is life sciences, but it's abandoned, right? Or everybody moved out. They were literally bombing the parking garage for trainings. Yeah, and I was like hearing it from my place, and I was like, wow. So I mean, they blatantly do it in the middle of towns too.
I'm like shocked and slightly scared.
I actually have a video. I'll find the video. You can kind of hear the bombs going off. My thing is like, okay, so they wanted to keep these ones quiet though.
Well, that's kind of the conspiracy. And remember, this was posted originally back in 2018. So, right? Like, yeah, but like exactly that. Like, what is the motivation? Like, why would they go along with the facade unless they were very bored? Because these people in the story were clearly upset that he was there, but like was like a supervisor like, no, let's see how long we can go about this. Like,
well, that's what I'm saying. Do they have chicken nuggets on deck just in case a civilian comes in?
Okay.
Like, what?
Well, girl, I have more for you. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. Oh, but before we jump into there, on Twitter, there was a tweet that I really, really liked, which was originally a user AXMXC replied to the story and said, I love how OP describes something straight out of Stephen King, and a bunch of people are like, it's one of them fake CIA towns. Like, it's one of those things everyone but OP knows about. I was like, relatable. Like, why is everyone so, casual? And then the user then responds to their tweet by saying, I started telling the story to my military brat husband, and he was like, oh, like one of those fake special forces training towns. So apparently it is very...
let me just preface this. I didn't know until today because I got served a reel.
It's hilarious.
So I wouldn't have had like any context going into this if that wasn't for that.
That's so funny. But that's the question of like the internet, right? Like, are people online just adding to the lore? Like, you never know because it's the internet. People like to kind of expand the truth or add to the story.
Reddit.
Like, how could this be true, right? Like, this seems a little bit funky. Okay, so what if I told you that not only that I have evidence that these towns exist, but I also have photos?
Oh, here we go. Okay.
Here is the very fake Hogan's Alley.
All med drugs. So you have
bank, all med drugs.
Yeah, no, it looks like it's like a movie set.
Okay, it's hilarious.
They look like facades.
That you say that. Here's another building.
That looks like San Francisco.
Right? I kind of got like Brooklyn too.
Yeah, I see it.
You nailed it with the movie set because this is Hogan's Alley. Although Hogan's Alley isn't in Utah and instead is located in Quantico, Virginia, it's exactly as OP describes. It has a bank, a post office, jewelry store, pool hall, barber shop, homes, businesses, you name it. There's a constant flow of people and traffic. You can even get a hot meal at the local deli. But if you look closer, Dogwood Inn restaurant on the inside is merely a classroom. Mm-hmm. Inside the Biograph Theater, you won't be able to get a ticket. You'll instead find a working FBI office.
Damn.
I know. Built with the help of Hollywood set designers. On the money there, Taylor. You're really like on top of this one. I'm proud of you.
I'm channeling or something.
For sure. So it was built with the help of Hollywood set designers. Hogan's Alley is located on the grounds of FBI's training academy in Quantico. Over the years, it has evolved into the cornerstone of the Bureau's practical training program. While Hogan's Alley has been around for over 30 years, the name and the training concept has actually been around even longer. Many decades ago, the use of fake storefronts with mechanical pop-up bad guys were a staple in police firearms training. The first documented exercise like this happened in 1999 out of an army base in Ohio that was staged to look like a war-torn French village. Where did I find all this information, you ask? FBI.gov.
Oh my God, no way.
They're hiding it.
They're like, just like, you know what? Which leads me to believe if he wound up on one of these, he should have just been told.
You would think, but like maybe they would want to
keep it secret, the area secret. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Apparently, even at the Quantico facility, a gentleman had come into that town by mistake, very similar to OP. But he tried to buy one of the used cars.
That's fucking funny.
Like back in the day.
They should have let him take it.
Like, honestly, go for it.
Right? Easy sale.
Although we have all this information about basically these secret cities that are based upon government facilities, similar stories of mysterious towns have popped up on the internet. Like the OP, this original creepypasta isn't the only one that's been spread around. There's actually another story, including two brothers who discovered a strange town in New Mexico posted in 2013. So I'm going to
Interesting.
read you a bit of an excerpt from their longer post that has since been deleted.
Why you deleting it?
Why are you deleting it? All right. My brother and I talked about what happened next so many times, but we still cannot figure it all out. We passed through a small town with a couple gas stations, and we know the town was named Vaughn, New Mexico. And then about 20 miles later, we drove through a town called Encino, New Mexico, which did not have a gas station that we can recall. In fact, the second town didn't really seem to have much there, if anything. I wasn't sure if anyone was living there. I seem to remember questioning why it existed in the first place, but then quickly dismissing it and driving right through. Not even 10 miles after passing through Encino, New Mexico, we surprisingly came upon a town that wasn't loaded in the GPS. This wasn't a big deal because I was using a cheap handheld that lost its signal at the time, but usually the only things it didn't display were newly built roads and recent construction areas. This city was definitely not new, so I figured the GPS was being buggy. The oddest part of finding this city, neither of us remember seeing any warnings we were coming up to a town. It had several fast food joints, restaurants, hotels, motels, grocery stores, maybe an Albertsons, and even some bars. If I were to guess, I would say the city was roughly 10 to 20,000 people. We decided to pull off and grab a bite to eat. Normally, we probably would have grabbed some fast food, but my brother saw a Ruby Tuesdays and really wanted to try it out. There were a couple Ruby Tuesdays around the Portland area at the time, but neither of us had been there. Oh, to note, they're from Portland.
Yeah, Ruby Tuesdays isn't that exciting, but we'll let them figure that out.
They have to go through that journey themselves.
Yeah.
So, we had just heard they had a pretty good salad bar, and I guess my brother was in the mood for something other than fast food. I went along with the suggestion because I was sick of eating junk too. And then they write in parentheses, for the rest of this story, I will be N and my brother will be G. We pulled into the Ruby Tuesdays parking lot, got out of the car, and walked into the restaurant. Immediately upon entering, a waitress who was milling around the hostess stand says, "Oh my God, is that N and G?" Both of my brother and I answered that it was indeed us, and the waitress went on to ask us about our lives in Portland. Suddenly it clicked. This girl knows who we are, but we're over 1,000 miles from home. Did we know her from back home? My brother and I gave very basic, vague answers to her questions, and I could tell she was kind of unsettled that my brother and I were being evasive. When we were seated, my brother immediately asked me where we knew her from, which was the same question I was going to ask him. I told him that I had no idea who she was, and that she obviously had mistaken us with some other people. Not more than a minute later, this guy bartender comes up to us and says, "No fucking way. G and N? You back for jobs?" What? My brother went on to tell the guy that they had mistaken us from some other people. He laughed and dismissed my brother's response as a joke. The bartender continued on seamlessly and started asking us how we fared in the 3-month anatomy and psychology courses we had taken at Oregon State. I remember thinking all of the sudden that this is not a coincidence anymore. Both my brother and I had taken the same 3-month course from Portland State University when we were in our early 20s. We were in our late 20s when this interaction happened. Finally, I asked the guy exactly where they knew us from, and he just kind of paused and started looking over me. Then he said, "Oh, damn, you guys just look really similar to some people that used to work here."
Weird.
So strange. He apologized and claimed he had to get back to work. After a bit, our food came, and my brother and I noticed they had switched out our waitress from before of the girl who recognized us when we walked in. That wasn't a big deal, although a bit strange. Next, a guy who I can only guess was the manager starts walking over to our table with a big smile on his face. As he gets within about 10 feet of us, he kind of starts looking over my head and stops. I think someone behind me was directing him not to talk to us. After he received the message, he sharply turned 90 degrees and walked away without saying a word. This had quickly become the most awkward meal of our lives. It went from people acting like it was a celebration for us to have shown up to everyone avoiding eye contact with us at all costs. After we finished up with our meals, the waitress came and told us the cash registers were frozen and that the meal was on the house. I really wanted to ask the waitress what the name of the city was that we were in, but I also really wanted to get out of there. After leaving the restaurant, we were running pretty low on gas, so I decided to refuel before we got back on the highway. I assumed the name of the city would be printed on the receipt. We weren't that lucky. That's the end of their post.
Like, part of me wants to think that this is like somebody was like, oh, it'll be fun. Like, you know how you like want to let your imagination run and you just like write out some random things? It just
100%.
seems so out there. Or to me, it like sounds like that's like a dream.
Oh, it really does. It kind of has like the same...
It has the dream qualities.
For sure. Like people like giving you so much attention and then to take it all away and like everyone's kind of surrounding you. It does sound very dreamlike.
I would want to make sure, like I would want to hear his brother's side of the story. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
Like Buddy just fell asleep in the car for 30 minutes and went on a ride.
We were listening to some podcast and then he took off.
Yeah, I don't know. And then that's why it got deleted. No, that's interesting. I don't know if that was actually true. That's crazy. That would be like, but it seems like something like, it sounds so out there that I feel like someone would like write it and be like,
oh, for sure.
Do you know what I mean?
It is very, I think what I like about the first one is that it's very just like fact. It's not even written out as a story. It's very like, I was on this road and then this happened. Like he doesn't even complete his sentence. I tried
not
to
even
add
emotionally attached to it. Yeah.
No, it's just beats to let people know like I was on this road and then this happened and this happened.
Yeah.
Whereas the second story is very fun, but it's so written out like a novel that you're
exactly. You're writing it to sound like a mystery book. You know what I mean?
For
I don't know. It's interesting though. I don't know.
Is.
All the weird towns is definitely, I think it's the government, to be honest with you.
For sure. I think
some type of government activity.
At the end of the day, when David had first told me about this creepypasta, I'm kind of quick to believe that someone's just having a fun with a creative exercise. Sometimes I think about that even with like, am I the asshole post? I'm like, someone's like kind of making up the drama.
Right. No, true. Yeah.
And so
it could be
kind of feeling the same way. It could just be
someone playing into it. But the fact that there were actual towns that were not on a map before, that's crazy.
Exactly. I think I was just so shocked that fake cities actually existed throughout time. Like we have such like 75,000 people in a town that didn't exist on a map is really like...
That's a lot.
That's a lot of people also keeping secrets. And I think one thing we've talked about in this podcast and on previous episodes was, can a town really keep a secret? It's kind of been, a big part of certain stories we've told. I mean, when I think about Roswell, I'm like, how many people could really keep a secret? But then you really see these towns that the government was hiding, and Oak Ridge might have been the biggest one, but it wasn't the only one. And I think that's kind of like, this is just tons of people that are kind of in on it and constantly being told to hide it, keep it under wraps. And so it's really a fun idea of, do these mystery cities still exist, right? Like, could something like this exist in the modern world now that we have cell phones and social media and all of that? I don't really know. Probably though, like in some capacity, this has to exist. But I just like shout out to the creepypasta for taking me down the rabbit hole of fake cities, because it's too good. And the FBI's not hiding it. They're like, welcome to Hogan's Alley.
I'm just gonna end this. Like, this is like North Korea vibes, and I'm not for it, government. So
it's so funny. I think
it'll be a no.
I'm so happy you brought up North Korea, because I've always had this weird infatuation with North Korea. And I also love the idea of Potemkin Village that they did for Marie Antoinette, which was basically like the idea of not letting her in that things were worse than they were. So they had like fake villages to look like everything was good on the outside, which North Korea does all the time. They have all the fake grocery stores, all of that. And
we'll have to do a whole episode on that because there's a whole thing to go down there.
It's so true. But anyway, that's the end of my episode. I know that was a little bit long, but I am so happy I got to share this.
No, thank you. I know that was definitely interesting. So I guess kind of tagging on, if the last one was a dream, I'm going to go into kind of like what shared dreams are like. So I actually went down my own rabbit hole on shared dreams. But first thing I want to do is show you a picture here. Have you seen this man? And I know you have because you straight up texted me about this when you found out I was doing shared dreams. But for the people that have not heard of this, have you seen this man? He's allegedly appeared in thousands of people's dreams since 2006, but has never been identified in the real world. The alleged first person to have reported dreaming about this man was a patient of a psychiatrist in New York City. And as they were describing this to the psychiatrist, the man, she sketched him out and left that sketch on her desk. 4 other patients recognized the face and said they had dreamed about him as well. News started traveling and others were chiming in. Well, a website was created to document all these encounters and soon amassed thousands of reports, with some stating his appearance dated back in their dreams to the 1980s. There were reports of him being violent in dreams and giving cryptic life advice. Then theories started building as to what he could symbolize. But I'm going to pause right there because this was later found to be a hoax. That's right. This is fake news.
No, so, I'm devastated.
I thought you knew. Okay, wow. That's a whole nother thing. I was like, don't ruin the surprise.
That's so funny. I did not know. I thought.
Really?
Well, I knew the lore, and it's hilarious. So as Taylor mentioned earlier, like she got served something about similar to my story today. And then when she told me her topic, I immediately was like, the man.
Yeah, and then you sent me literal clothes with the man on it.
Because come on, we could be matching.
Love it.
Shout out fashion brand company.
But now that you know that it's a hoax.
I'm so mad. I'm a little sad. I totally believed it. I really thought people were in some kind of shared psychosis.
I don't know about you, but like his face is kind of haunting. And like I had to ask myself, I'm like, have I seen that man in my dreams? When I first started like looking into it, I was like, he's kind of weird. It might be because he looks like Mr. Bean.
Oh, he does kind of look like Mr. Bean.
I don't know. He looks very familiar to me, but I don't think I've ever dreamt about him, obviously, because it's a hoax. But it was interesting because like it is kind of creepy to like look at it. But so Andrea Nutella, which at first I thought it was Nutella, and I was like, what? But it's Nutella, came out as the owner of a website after it was traced back to an IP address owned by his marketing firm, and is thought to have been guerrilla marketing for a movie that never came out.
Wait, did they have the
dude,
movie?
when I tell you that I was reading this, I was like, Nutella was trying to market him.
You're like, is it
a big
Nutella campaign?
No, it's just the guy's last name is Nutella. But anyway, super interesting.
But pause there really quick. Yeah. Did you know they're making a movie based upon this premise?
Well, I bet you it's the guy. Okay, well, we'll have to watch that when it comes out. But yeah, this sent me on a rabbit hole of shared dreams. And I've actually had my own shared dream experience about a year ago. And so let me just show you real quick. I was on Instagram and I came across this, like it was like kind of a reel. It was a post actually, but it's kind of like a post of a reel. So just watch this. Okay. I saw that and it was like, it wasn't a post that was supposed to be about shared dreams. It was just like, oh, this is giving me anxiety post. I looked at that and I was like, why did I dream that exact same situation? But it was me going through the holes. And so I go into the comments to be like, dude, like I dreamt about this. I go into the comments and I kid you not, there's like hundreds of people saying that they have dreamt that same thing. And I was like, what? And so I put my comment on a thread of like, oh my God, I've dreamt this as well. And then I was looking and everybody else seems to have dreamt it someone on that comment thread was like, have you heard of liminal spaces? Or you should look it up if you haven't. So I looked it up. I'm going to show you that really quick. Okay, this is what a liminal space is. And this is actually a picture from the back rooms. The back rooms is a whole nother situation. But essentially what it is, it's like basically like a hallway where you can go down multiple areas. It feels like it's never ending.
Is there an Instagram called The Back Rooms?
There's a whole lure to what the back rooms is. It's like a whole, like there's usually like creepy things in it. Anyway, I don't know, but this dream that I had was like really, it was anxiety like it was kind of like weird. It felt like you couldn't get out of it. You were definitely going down the tunnels. Anyway, where that video stops, that hole to the left, that's the hole I went down in my dream. It's that particular, okay?
Wow.
So bizarre. But this led me to trying to look up like mass shared dreams. So for this episode, it's like mass shared dreams. I came across this man, but there wasn't a ton of info on mass shared dreams, but there was a lot of information on shared dreams between smaller amounts of people.
Oh.
Yeah. So the idea of shared dreaming is when two or more dreamers have the same dreamscape or very similar qualities and they experience the same narrative. It can also happen when two lucid dreamers get lucid and meet up in the dream space. I know, it sounds crazy, but there's not a ton of scientific fact about what dreaming is. It's kind of largely unknown. And so it's interesting to kind of look into the theories, but Robert Wagner from the Lucidity Institute talked about different ways of having shared dreams and has conducted some of his own experiments. And he's come up with 2 types of shared dreams. Meshing dreams often happen without trying. 2 people have very similar dreams and usually receive similar information in the dreamscape. So an example of that is like 2 children said they were having dreams about their grandpa that passed away, and he would tell them to look in certain areas of the house, and eventually they did, and they ended up finding photos. So those 2 children had very different dreams, but the same information was being given to them in the dreams from the same person. And there's also a lot of cases of friends or siblings having dreams, and then they find out while they talk about their dreams that they were in the same dream. Like there was a case of this woman that was like, oh, I had a dream I was giving you a cupcake last night. That's so weird. And her friend was like, I had a dream that you were giving me a cupcake last night.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, so they're experiencing the same things. I mean, low key, I also remember seeing back in the day that your brain can't create new faces in dreams. So all the faces that you see in dreams are like people that have passed by you in real life. I don't know. I mean, like, there's no way to test that, right? But if that was the case, are all of these people that we're seeing in our dreams coming from meshing dreams? Like, are these just people, like actual people, like walking around in our dreams? I don't know. That'd be crazy.
Like we're
they do
all
some weird
going,
shit if that's the case. I've had
surely.
some weird dreams about you people. But the other type of dream is a meeting dream. And so it's a phenomenon of 2 people intentionally meeting up in the same dream. So there's a lot of accounts of this online, but people have said that they meet up while lucid and they start to share a key word in the dream. And when they wake up, they share that keyword to ensure that they met up during dreaming. Patrick McNamara, who is a professor of neurology at Boston University, says that there are literally thousands of documented cases of this. He says the best documented cases is between therapists and clients, where professionally trained therapists verify the claim of having a shared dream at the same time.
So this is fully like actually documented, like really happened.
Yeah. Like people fully claim, like lucid dreaming is a whole thing on its own. Like we'll touch on it in a second, but I think that's a full other episode. But yeah. I don't know, like does this show that we're entering in a shared space every night when we go to sleep? I mean, it kind of leads to like larger questions of like what dreaming is, because like I said, science hasn't really caught up yet. Is it, astral projection? Is it a shared unconscious? Or is it just our brains kind of like doing their things while we're sleeping? It's kind of weird, the fact that you can go to sleep, not have a keyword, meet someone in your dream, get the keyword, talk to them about it, and come up with the same. Like how would that make sense if we're just, unconscious? Anyway,
if it's just our imagination. It sounds like we're all entering another dimension together. It sounds like
That's what I think. That's okay.
this, and then we go to another plane of,
yes.
Hey, we're neighbors here.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's so many topics to cover around dreams, like what are reoccurring dreams? What are dream meanings? What is astral projection? Which kind of bleeds into this theory. So astral projection is basically when your spirit leaves your physical body and allows you to travel around the spiritual realm. Some people even reach this in meditation as well. So people claim that they can astral project. But I don't know. It's definitely, it's weird. So I don't know. Have you heard of the phenomenon too of like waking up in your dream and telling the people in your dream that they're not real and that you're dreaming, and then them getting like extremely upset and like turning kind of like scary and like turning on you?
No, this sounds like Coraline or something. That's
There's
scary.
Straight up a TikTok rabbit hole if you ever want to go down it. But like people will wake up in their dream, like kind of like lucid dreaming, and be like, you're not real. Like I'm dreaming. And then the person will be like, you're not supposed to know that. What? So yeah, it's definitely interesting. I don't know what's going on there, but like I said, lucid dreaming is like a whole different thing. So lucid dreaming is, I don't know, like you can train yourself to do it. I've actually, wouldn't you know, have had an experience with lucid dreaming as well. But they say you can train yourself by looking at a clock, or also like dream journaling every night. So in your dreams. So here's the thing, like when you're dreaming, the part of your brain that recognizes facial expressions is also the same part of your brain that recognizes a clock face and can tell the time. It doesn't work on digital clocks, but only like at like the actual
the mechanical.
Clock. Yeah, exactly. So if you're dreaming and you have a thought that you're dreaming, it's like said that you should try to like look at a clock. And if you can read that clock, your conscious mind is awake. So you're lucid dreaming.
Whoa.
So check this out. This was back in college, and I had heard about lucid dreaming for a while, and I was like starting to like do the dream journal just for fun, because I also have very vivid dreams. And so I was just like, I'm just curious. I'll start doing it. See if I could lucid dream. Whatever. It's like weird college stuff. I guess I'm still weird. Anyway.
But college was a really peak thing, because that's also
college,
I'm not going to say it.
Yep. So I have this dream, and I'm in like, why are we on the same page? Something is tethering us. Anyway, so I wake up in my dream, and that sounds weird, right? But like I'm in my dream, and I feel like I'm in the Pacific Northwest. Like there's all these really tall trees. I'm right by this lake, and I'm like, I've never been here in real life. So like I have to be dreaming. Like I've never been here. How would I be here? And so I was like, oh, well, I remembered in that second to like look up a clock. And so I willed this clock. Mind you, this is dreamland, so this makes sense. But I willed this clock out of the freaking lake. It like came up, and I looked at it, and I was like, I could tell the time. And I was like, okay, so I am lucid dreaming. I'm like conscious right now.
Wow.
And so I was like, I want to fly. And so I'm trying to fly, and I'm like, it's like, I don't know if you've experienced like when you're in a dream, you try to run and you feel like really slow and like sluggish.
Oh yeah, the drag down, yes.
Okay, so that was me trying to get up off the ground, trying to fly, and I'm like pushing myself, like, let's go. I was told I could do whatever I want, like what's going on? Eventually, I actually do take off. Like I fly around, and I am like telling you, I sound crazy, but I literally could control where I was going. And it was like I was flying where I wanted to and checking out what I wanted to. It was crazy, full in control.
What did it feel like? Like, could you feel like wind on your face?
It literally felt like I was legit doing it. Yeah.
Wow.
Like I was like, I felt like I almost felt queasy because I was like high up. Like it was weird. But then I remember slowly slipping and losing the control, and it just slipped back into a normal dream, and I continued dreaming.
Whoa.
So I think like my conscious mind woke up for a second, did what it wanted to do, and then went back into dreamland, which was really bizarre, by the way. But, and I think you were alluding to this earlier, this was around the same time I had my sleep paralysis. Not the exact, like not within the same week or months, but it was around the same year. And it leads me to believe that we enter a space in our minds that we're not quite ready to understand just yet. And maybe that's where the paranormal originates from as well.
I love that.
Like, it's a different dimension.
This is so tasty. I love this. I mean, that makes sense. Like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm just saying, why hasn't science been able to explain? They've been able to like do scans and like see where our brain's lighting up, but they haven't really been able to explain it fully.
That is so fun. That's it's terrifying in some ways, but dreams are fascinating. Anything in your sleep. We spend how many hours a night going to this place, and like, I need to go down this rabbit hole of shared dream. That's so fascinating because in my mind, it's like something of fiction, like maybe in Stranger Things on Netflix, or
right.
some kinds of like other plane of existence. But the fact, I don't know, I'm shocked at the sharing the same word in a dream and coming out of it. I can't believe
Isn't
that's
that like two people getting lucid and being like, we're going to meet up, and your dreamscape is the same?
Yeah, how does that make
And
any
there's
sense?
so many accounts of like siblings having the same dreams as the other one at the night. Like they're like in it, like they're like other players in your movie dream. It's so bizarre. But also something to note too about like lucid dreaming and sleep paralysis. When you're in a dream state, your body, the parts of your body, like your arms and your legs are immobilized. So that part of your brain is asleep. So you don't act out your dreams, right? Like that's why sometimes people sleepwalk or whatever. When you're in that state and you're sleeping and you try to become conscious when you're lucid dreaming, that part of you is still locked, right? So like you wake up essentially, I think when you get a little too conscious, you wake up a little bit and you're like in reality, but your body is locked. And that's why people feel like, oh, I can't move. And then you're kind of still on the tinge of like REM, right? Or like wherever you are in dreamland, that you can kind of hallucinate things in your surroundings. So like a lot of people will say when they're locked up like that and they're having sleep paralysis, like demons will come sit on their chest or they'll be like super scary things. I think it's because your brain is also still somewhat in dreamland, but you're in your reality. So it's really crazy.
And confusing.
But it's basically, I think, when you get too conscious, but your brain is still like, thinking you're asleep.
And trying to.
There's a lot of accounts of like when you start trying to lucid dream that you also end up getting a lot of sleep paralysis.
Ooh, that's so scary. So, if you might not have the answer to this, but like sleepwalking has also really fascinated me because it's like, I was a sleepwalking kid. I was a bad sleepwalking kid. Like I have this quick story of when I was younger, my dad heard the front door close, like in the middle of the night.
I remember this for some reason from way back in the day.
You're probably like there, basically.
Dude, I remember sleeping over at your house and you're like, sometimes I sleepwalk, just like heads up. And I was like,
basically, like the way this story goes is it's the middle of the night and my dad was a very light sleeper and he heard the front door shut and he like panicked and then he like, started getting all tough guy, like I got to go confront a burglar. So he like goes and checks around the house. And then he was like, oh my gosh, my daughter's been kidnapped, like, cause he didn't find anything. So he runs up to my room and I'm not there. And so he's like, oh my gosh. And then he panics and he runs out the door and picture this, right? I'm like 10 or 11 and he finds me, he sees me at my neighbor's house at their front door. I have the screen door open and I'm just knocking on their door at like 3 in the morning.
Terrifying
I'm just
for them.
knocking. And then my dad, my childhood nickname's Khaki. He's like, Khaki, what are you doing? And apparently this is how I do it. I'm so sorry for anyone listening as a podcast, but apparently I do this. I'm selling tickets, Dad.
What the fuck?
So just for people that didn't see it, my eyes are like super wide and I'm just smiling really big. Like that's how he said. He said my eyes were wide open. And I answered him, no problem. You would have thought I was awake. And my dad just goes, maybe we could do that in the morning. How about you go back to bed?
Nice. He's like, she's tripping.
What demonic possession is going on with my child? And I just said, that's a good idea.
No, your neighbors. Too bad they didn't have Ring back in the day.
Oh, that would have been a viral Ring video. Oh my goodness. And ended up like the next morning, I like walk down the stairs and I like say good morning to my parents. And my dad's like, so you had like an interesting night? And I was like, what are you talking about? Because I was dead asleep. I was always a very like heavy sleeper, had no recollection, no idea what he was talking about. And then my dad told the story and I was kind of freaked out because I was like, you could be making this up for all I know because in my version of it, I just was sleeping in bed, so I don't know.
That's
that
crazy.
Stuff freaks me out. I think about that to this day. And, my husband and I want to have kids and we're talking about the future. And I'm like, am I going to have to put like bells on like all
Dude,
the
some
doors
people
in
do.
Because it's scary. Because I used to sleepwalk all the time. That was the only time I left the house though.
That's crazy.
Thankfully. Or that
I
we know.
wonder if it's because, no shit. You probably had some experiences.
Down the street. I went to your house.
That would be a far walk, but I could see it. I wonder if it's that part of your brain that like is supposed to have you locked to not act out your dreams that is just not as asleep as you would think.
Especially there's something about sleepwalking in kids, right? Like apparently it's more common in kids than adults. Maybe I'm remembering that
Maybe it's
wrong.
because your brain is developing a certain way. I don't know. There's so many like intricacies. I feel like our brains aren't even fully figured out. And so even on like the dream side, like I'm looking forward to seeing more scientific studies on dreaming, because I feel like there's definitely like they've tried, but like I said, I just don't think that our brains are capable of like understanding that just yet. But I'm equally as excited to see more weird theories about it come out. I don't know.
I love it, and I also hate it.
I know. Because go do it tonight. Well, that's the thing. I researched all this, and I'm like, I'm gonna dream, and like I'm dreaming, and like it, like in your dream, it just feels so real. But then the second you wake up, you're like, that was such a dream. Like, but you can't do it in your dream. It's the weirdest thing.
It's
so anyway,
true.
Have fun in your dreams tonight. Hopefully you don't see this man. Because
I can't believe that's a hoax. Oh my gosh. There's so many
I thought you knew.
No clue. There's so many learned lessons in this episode. But that's a hoax. Put bells on your doors.
That's crazy.
That's insane. Oh my gosh. Well, that was awesome, Taylor.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. No, I think today was definitely generally weird. I think we nailed the weird topics.
I know. Go figure that we would nail the weird. That tracks.
Of course we would. Come on.
Well, amazing. Well, is there anything else you want to talk about today before we wrap it up?
No, let's wrap it up. We'll see you guys in, another episode. And then I don't know what our topic is for the next one, but I'm sure we'll have some good stuff coming your way.
Ooh, happy November and happy Friday the 13th to you, Taylor.
Yes, thank you.
Bye,
see you guys soon. Bye.